Hi Wildings, welcome back to the Wilding Tarot YouTube channel on a very exciting day to be recording a love reading for y'all. If you didn't know, today on the 17th of February at 1:28 a.m. Australian Daylight Savings Time, the planets of divine masculinity and divine femininity, Mars and Venus, were exactly conjunct in Capricorn at 16 degrees, and they will remain close in the next few months, which is as per normal for a conjunction between these fairly fast moving but near to Earth planets. However, this year, 2022, which is a Venus or love year, they will stay closer together than other years and other conjunctions. They're going to stay together for most of the year. About 10 out of the 12 months of the year, they're going to be near enough to be exchanging a lot of energy. So I'm really expecting a lot to happen for people in terms of evolving with their own expression of masculinity and femininity, integrating their own masculinity and femininity, and obviously for divine counterparts or forbidden lovers to either engage in love affairs or reconciliations or meeting each other and all of that sort of stuff. So I thought today we'd do a reading mostly focused on what's shifting and evolving throughout this year while those energies are super active for us. And if you want to know a little bit more about the astrology and kind of why we're doing today's reading, I will leave a little bit more in the description box for you. But we will get into today's reading pretty quickly. I will obviously explain in the next little part while you're picking a card, kind of how to get the most out of this reading. But for now, I think that is all. Let's get into today's reading. Okay, Wildings, let's get into today's love reading. So today's love reading will be kind of a combination between forbidden lover love readings, star-crossed lover love readings, and just divine counterpart love readings. So we should be able to get messages for kind of every situation, no matter kind of what connection you came here with the intention of getting a reading for. And this can also be a past, present, or future connection as well. So if there's no one in particular that you're connected with right now, this is potentially going to be a reading about a future person. This can also be someone from your past, whether that's this life or a past life. And this can also be a present day connection that you have in mind. So we will early on clarify the energies to make sure that you're in the right place when you pick a pile. If you would like, you can skip that part of the reading and go straight on to the proper messages from the tarot. We will also get oracles and channeled messages today, so it will be like basically a very big and deep reading today on the themes of love. And basically the main reason why we're doing like kind of a broad divine counterpart, star-crossed lover, forbidden lover kind of reading is based on the Mars and Venus conjunction that's happening today, the day that I'm recording this. So the opening time lapse, if you missed it, had a bit more detail about kind of the mythology behind it, but what you need to know in terms of this reading is that the Mars, and which is the masculine, and the Venus, which is the feminine, went conjunct today at the early hours of the morning, Australian Eastern Daylight Savings Time, and they will be conjunct for about 10 months, which is a really long time for those two planets to be conjunct. And given that they represent kind of like a forbidden love in the stars, like the Mars and Venus were considered like the forbidden lovers, like the masculine and feminine lovers in the stars. This is going to be an interesting 10 months. They're both really fast moving planets, so they're going to hit a lot of houses and signs for everyone. But yeah, this is basically like the feminine kind of was retrograde and kind of waiting for the masculine to catch up, which is just like super cute. And so now they'll be moving together for the next 10 months, which again, for these two planets is a really long time to stay in conjunction for. So I'm expecting a lot of divine counterparts to find each other, to fall in love, and like, yeah, just have some things kind of work out. Because this conjunction is starting in Capricorn, and for 10 months, it looks like they'll move through most of the zodiacs. Pretty much everyone from Leo rising, Virgo rising, Libra rising, Scorpio rising, Sagittarius rising, Capricorn rising, Aquarius rising, Pisces rising, Aries rising, and Taurus rising. Basically all of you will have the kind of star-crossed lovers move through your 7th house of partnership. And the only two signs where that won't happen is Gemini rising and Cancer rising. But that said, you'll still have this move through your, should move through your 5th, 8th, and what else? Yeah, they're the main important ones that this will move through. So for you guys, Gemini and Cancer risings, like maybe won't be like as big, but pretty much for everyone else, like a lot of your relationship karma should kind of either come up or work out. You should meet people. If you haven't already, you should be able to like have some issues resolved. So yeah, it is like a really exciting time, a really exciting transit, especially that it's happening in a Venus year. 2022 is a Venus year. So yeah, the fact that like the Venus year started with Venus being retrograde and like kind of waiting for Mars to catch up, and then the moving through like all of the signs and houses together for like most of 2022, like it's a vibe. So we're gonna do like a really big love reading on this today. It's going to be super detailed, and yeah, hopefully we'll get lots of really good messages about either what's happening, what's to come, for kind of whatever situation you're in. So yeah, hopefully that all made sense. If you're not super across astrology, like it really doesn't matter, because you can just get kind of a basic tarot reading anyway. I do recommend though, if you are really into tarot, to get into astrology as well, because the two just like go hand in hand so well. So if anything that I'm saying kind of doesn't make sense, or like like you want to learn more about astrology because you're into tarot and it helps to learn both, you can always just hit up Google and just Google anything that I'm saying that doesn't make a lot of sense, so that you can kind of learn on the job, because that's essentially the best way to learn, like really learning through kind of hearing it, like doing your own research, and then kind of just seeing what unfolds. It's just a very interesting way to go about it, and it's like essentially the method I prefer. But yeah, I don't think I have any other disclaimers. When I record the voiceover for the time lapse, I will go into a little bit more detail about the Venus and Mars conjunction. So if you did miss that and you want to know more about it, you can go back and watch that before you pick a pile, because it might be helpful just to know some of the kind of mythology before you get into your reading, so that you can get just the most in-depth detailed reading possible for you, kind of get the best bang out of your buck, like yeah. But I think that's all the disclaimers that I need to express. So whenever you're ready, you can go ahead and choose pile 1, 2, or 3. Remembering I will leave a little freeze frame for you to just take a little bit of extra time. You can pause the video and just like kind of do a bit of a breath in, breath out, and just intuitively head where you need to go. If you end up at a reading and you're resonating with kind of maybe half of it, whether that's half of the clarifying energies, half of the tarot message, half of the channel messages, half of the oracle, I strongly recommend coming back and choosing another pile. Sometimes our particular situation is a mix of 2 piles, and yeah, if you do get to a pile and you're not 100% sure that you ended up in the right place, we will clarify the energies fairly early on so that you can come back and try again if you are feeling disconnected from your intuition today, or just like not vibing with it as well. Like I know sometimes when I'm a little bit anxious, like my intuition is a little bit hazy, so that's always there for you as an option. But yeah, I'm gonna stop blabbing on now, and you can pick a pile and I will see you wherever you end up. Hey there, pile one, welcome to your reading for, well, welcome to your love reading, because this will be definitely a mix of energies here. So if you chose this beautiful pink agate crystal, then this reading is probably for you. We're just going to start by clarifying the energies of our reading using this zodiac deck and our little jar of magic. Feel free to skip this if you want to get straight into the messages. Stick around if you want that little bit of extra confirmation, or you're just like happy to kind of vibe out with us today. But yeah, we're gonna clarify the energies for pile one. So straight up, we definitely have a lot of soulmates energies here with the Jupiter return and Grand Trine energies coming out. Jupiter returns often bring in more soulmate-like energies when, yeah, Jupiter hits the exact degree that it was in our natal chart. We also have a very interesting air and water kind of dominant energies coming out. So the air signs are Libra, Gemini, and Aquarius, and the water signs are Scorpio, Cancer, and Pisces. So they could be dominant energies here, especially with Pluto coming out. That's a Scorpio energy, and the third house is a Gemini energy. We also have Cancer, Virgo, and Aries obviously as well. So all of these could be placements or just like the general vibe of either you and them or them. With the water element, this is usually more sensitive, intuitive, more traditionally feminine energy, and then the air element is more intelligent, maybe a little bit more either extroverted or communicative, and very intelligent usually, usually in a more objective and kind of analytical way, whereas the water element is more kind of feeling and sensing and following kind of the inner wisdom. The Aries, Cancer, and Virgo energies may be placements, or they might just be kind of like kind of a little energy about this person. So Cancerian energy is a little bit more maternal or family orientated, and it's also a deeply feeling energy. It's associated with the Chariot card, which has a lot to do with trying to figure out your kind of childhood patterning and conditioning and move forward in a place with integrity. So being able to honor your roots without being kind of misguided by any generational kind of traumas or curses that you might have picked up from that background. Aries energy is more of a self-focused energy, whereas Libra energy, its sister sign, is more of a other focused energy. So I would say that probably one of you falls into more the Aries end and one more in the Libra end, or potentially you might be a mix of both. Like with these signs, when they come out, usually it's referring to me and we energies, which can be very different, but you need both of those energies essentially for a successful partnership. You both need to be able to deeply understand yourself, deeply prioritize yourself, deeply like honor your own inner wisdom, your truth, and like avoid things like self-betrayal, self-abandonment, self-denial, things like that. But you also need this we energy of like actually being able to put care and consideration into other people. And like being willing to like kind of look at life a little bit differently based on what this other person is mirroring to you, and really challenge your own perception of reality as not definitively the right or only way. Like it's really asking you to be open to other points of view. So yeah, this might be literal Aries and Libra placements, or it might just be those energies of like either there's conflicts between me and we energy, or there's really good vibe between me and we energy, one or the other. Virgo energy usually refers to lifestyle and routine, like someone who's usually got their kind of day-to-day pretty down pat, usually someone who's fairly financially secure and stable, or at the very least has kind of their life set up well around them. This is usually someone similar to this Cancerian energy, where they kind of care about the family structure and like having things set up well. So essentially the offspring can experience like a better quality of life than what they did themselves. And this could be experienced by this person either with their parents, like their parents setting them up something much better than what they had, and or this person wanting to do the same for their eventual offspring or their current offspring. The third house energy, this is about communication. It's associated with Gemini, which rules the Lovers card. So the communication, kind of what we're talking about with this Libra energy, in a similar vein, it asks us to suspend our own reality in a way, and listen deeply to what other people are saying so that you can see things from their point of view, and also being able to deeply communicate your own reality to that person, and definitely not expecting them to be a mind reader, definitely not expecting them to necessarily be able to understand you straight away, but be able to understand you through your intentional collaboration with them. And we also have this Pluto energy. So this is a heavy transformative energy. It's rules the house of spiritual awakening, the occult, taboo, deep intimacy, and shared finances, but also just like kind of shared power in a way. So I would say the two of you have this probably a lot of sexual energy, a lot of like at least potential for deep intimacy, especially if you haven't met them yet. There's definitely a lot of potential for that there. And yeah, there's definitely a lot of potential for the two of you to build a really beautiful life together through a shared venture. But there definitely will be probably challenges along the way. Pluto usually only brings challenges where it's kind of destroying things that aren't aligned with unconditional love, so that what is destroyed can be replaced with something of a higher vibration, something more aligned with who you're intending to be in this world. So yeah, there's a lot of interesting energies here for sure. We also have this solar eclipse energy. Lunar eclipses tend to be kind of more destructive. They're more of the kind of Kali energy. She's the goddess of destruction, and she does a similar thing to Pluto where she destroys everything that isn't aligned with your like highest alignment or best interests or unconditional love, so that by creating a void, something of a higher vibration can enter into your life. Whereas the solar eclipse, I would say, is like a more creative energy. You can think of it as like God energy, Shiva energy, like whatever, whatever's the kind of god or goddess of creation is more this solar eclipse energy. So this solar eclipse energy, it does carry some destructive potential, usually not as much as a lunar eclipse though. It tends to create more almost like building upon what already exists, but just in a healthier way. Like it doesn't necessarily need to completely destroy something. It just needs to break away some of the chains of that thing to create a more free expression of whatever it is. So yeah, this relationship is maybe not kind of in that like destroying everything to dust thing. It's more of a how can we liberate each other to a higher vibration, building on kind of what each other already has. So yeah, there's lots of definitely interesting energies there, but we'll get a few more clarifying personalities and characteristics. So you're looking for like at least a few of these to confirm that you're in the right spot. But yeah, don't be surprised if there's a mix of energies here. So just really listening to your intuition to know which messages are like your little confirmations and which ones are not for you. While also being open to potentially hearing messages from additional people. So we have workaholic. They might have a more triangular face shape. So this is usually someone with a fairly broad forehead and usually a more pointed chin. Seductive. Student. This can be like a literal student in like university, or this can just be someone who's very kind of curious minded and like always learning. Fun, or even like doing like courses and things. A little bit neurotic. Average height. They can be a little bit self-centered. It looks like this is this Aries energy, and as we were talking about before, like all relationships really balance off this me and we energy. So they might lean more towards this Aries self-centralization. Charming. Healer. Agreeable. Introvert. Dreamer. Hot. Curvy. Open. Colored hair. And fit. So yeah, taking what resonates, leaving what doesn't out of those clarifications. And we will move on to our tarot. So quickly let's get messages about this connection, please. So in this connection, there's definitely going to be some change, some rebalancing of things that's going to bring the two of you into more abundance, alignment, satisfaction, happiness, and overall feeling of like kind of cup full, especially in a very emotional, relational, and potentially kind of psychic gift related or intuition related sense. The Two of Pentacles traditionally represents kind of change, upheavals, but in a very balancing way. You can see from the artwork on this card that essentially this is a change that's going to create balance. This energy is a Jupiter in Capricorn energy. So Capricorn's a very hardworking energy. Jupiter is very optimistic, expansive, and kind of wants the best for all people, essentially, especially kind of the most kind of highest expression or the most expanded expression of the self. So yeah, it looks like in this connection, the two of you are definitely going through some changes that will bring about a better balance, and maybe deeper love and connection as well, especially with this Ace of Cups card coming out. The Ace of Cups traditionally represents intimacy, compassion, but it's also just like kind of pure potential when it comes to love, partnership, emotion, happiness, psychic ability, intuition, all that sort of thing. So yeah, it really looks like you're going to be entering into a time where this is just like overflowing. Potentially in the past, the two of you, either in past connections if you haven't met yet, or in a past life if you haven't met in this physical life yet, or in the past of this connection, if you have been in relationship with this person before. Potentially in that past there was some challenges that mostly have to do with deception and betrayal. So these deceptions and betrayals don't necessarily mean infidelity and like flat out lying, but sometimes it can also mean like deceiving each other from a place of like you not knowing the truth within yourself, so you not being able to show up authentically for each other in some capacity. So it's kind of like a very unintentional deception, and also a very unintentional betrayal. Often when a betrayal is unintentional, it's often about kind of self-abandoning yourself, which in turn like betrays the other person because they're not getting a authentic version of you, where everything's kind of out on the table. Like it does open up a lot for manipulation and yeah, just like, yeah, the dishonesty is just like doesn't pass the vibe check, basically, is all you need to know. So yeah, that basically impacted the two of your ability to work together as a team and really experience the full potential of this intimacy and kind of love between the two of you. Like I would say that these issues from the past, whether it was in this connection, in previous connections, or it will happen for you in the early stages of this connection if this person's still to come in. Yeah, all of this will impact the ability for you guys to be in a deep connection with each other. So yeah, definitely dealing with in the foreseeable future, dealing with themes of deception and betrayal. So really you're kind of working with the opposite energies, which is more about honesty / vulnerability, and honor and integrity. They're kind of like the opposite energies that you'll be working with moving forward. So this is really about honoring yourself, honoring your truth, being in integrity with yourself. It's also about self-awareness, like really deeply understanding yourself, loving yourself, being able to understand your boundaries, but also being able to understand your potential to put up walls. So like when we were talking earlier about the Aries versus Libra energy, Aries is a bit more self-centered and has the potential to put up walls instead of boundaries, whereas Libra is a little bit more we-centered and is more likely to self-abandon or self-betray in order to preserve the connection. So they're kind of like sister signs that are trying to achieve opposite things, and they need to really come into balance. They need to know how to work together and find it within themselves to be able to find that Aries self-centered energy that may be a little bit quicker to aggression, because aggression does, like anger more specifically, not so much aggression, but anger shows us where our boundaries are, and our kind of vulnerability, our sadness, which is more of this Libra energy, shows us where our needs are that need to be met. So yeah, those two energies really need to learn to work as a team to create a really balanced connection within the self, and then a really balanced connection with another. We also have some poverty consciousness that is potentially being healed with this Six of Pentacles and Five of Pentacles. The Five of Pentacles traditionally represents either ill health or poverty consciousness when it comes to money, especially, but also just other lifestyle factors as well as like family factors. And then the Six of Pentacles is kind of a very opposite energy. It comes more to do with giving, generosity, and more kind of like abundance. But Six of Pentacles coming out in reverse and the Five of Pentacles coming out upright essentially is referring to, yeah, this kind of like poverty consciousness healing that is being addressed in the foreseeable future. So we've got coming into more honesty, integrity, vulnerability, truth, self-awareness, and self-honor, as well as being able to work as a team to balance me and we energy, and also healing poverty consciousness between the three of you. And this is likely all the background stuff that's kind of contributing to this change, to this balance, and this kind of period of happiness and alignment that's coming in. Like, this essentially is the work that creates this outcome. It seems like potentially this person might have potentially had a bit of a more of a player energy in the past, whether that was in connection with you or connection with others before you. With this Knight of Wands, the Knight of Wands is a very popular lover, but it does lack a little bit of emotional maturity to be able to kind of know who's kind of the perfect end game lover, and to really pursue that lover without distraction. The Knight of Wands is definitely very they get distracted very easily, especially by easy kind of targets. Like if anything's kind of coming to them easily, where they don't have to really stand in their power, and especially their divine masculine power of like knowing what they want and going after it, and braving things like rejection or abandonment or any of that kind of hard sticky stuff, through actually going after a person who's a good match for them. The Knight of Wands doesn't necessarily undertake such a challenge. The Knight of Wands wants easy challenges that they know they're gonna win, essentially, and that's what gives that card a little bit more of a kind of player energy. But it does seem like, kind of in a similar vein to this, that this person's going to be kind of evolving into a more like just essentially a better partner. Twos in Kabbalah Tarot really represent stepping into the divine masculine in a really powerful way, and becoming much more kind of insightful, wise, and powerful, especially within yourself. And so yeah, it seems like this person's going to be undertaking that transformation, or you will be, if you resonate more with the divine masculine archetype. And this is potentially one of the big revolutions that's coming in. Like all of this, I would say, is a revolution, but especially this last energy of actually being able to be a good partner for someone else. But we might get some channeled messages next. So we've got a few channeled messages decks, so you can skip past any deck that doesn't feel right for you. So this first Messages of Love Oracle, I would say this one will resonate most with people who feel like they haven't met this person yet. This is where you'll mostly be getting your messages from. If you've already met this person and maybe you're in more of a place of like not being entirely sure if you guys are endgame or just like a really divine counterpart connection, a really intentional connection, more of a connection for spiritual growth and development, maybe before your endgame connection, this one might resonate a little bit more. I would say for basically everyone, this deck should resonate, but I would say this leans more towards another soulmate energy and potentially someone that you have met before. And then this one, I would say, resonates the most with more twin flame energies. This could be someone who you've definitely met at least energetically, but not necessarily. If you feel like you have met them, like if you can feel their energy, this one's a good one. And if you feel like it's more of a twin flame connection, this one's definitely a good one. So we've got twin flame, maybe more of a either karmic or intentional connection, and then maybe someone you haven't met yet, or someone that you've maybe felt energetically but not 100% certain that you've met, and then this one's maybe more of a soulmate energy. So we'll kind of work backwards, I think. So we'll start with our more twin flame kind of channeled messages for pile 1, please. So we have I am not over you. You inspire me. I don't want to know. I don't know what comes next. Okay, so it's likely that this person, it's likely that you've met this person before, that they are not over you, but you've inspired them to have this kind of revolution, this growth within themselves. But I think they're still at the point where they're not secure and stable in a lot of this growth. So they definitely don't want to know what's going on with you at the time that you're getting this. So that, because I think they're in a bit of a vulnerable place. Like, I think they're worried that if they find out that you're maybe in a better place than what they are, that if you're connected to someone else or anything like that, it might kind of derail their growth. So I think they are a little bit of a horse with blinders on at the moment, and just like really focusing on themselves and just like trying not to absorb too much outside information to make sure that they kind of stay on track and don't get derailed, because yeah, they do feel like they're in maybe more of a sensitive or vulnerable place. And then we also have I don't know what comes next. So again, this is definitely more of a horse with blinders energy. They're really just focusing on one step at a time, like one kind of growth at a time. Like they might have like a kind of vague end goal idea of where they want to go, but I'd say for this person, they're just kind of seeing where life takes them and trying not to think too big picture, because yeah, they probably will be a little bit overwhelmed by that. But we'll get some more soulmatey kind of messages. So we have you came closer than anyone. I feel you leaving me behind. It's time for me to heal now. Just being near you is intoxicating. So I feel like this is kind of a similar vibe as the twin flame messages. I definitely feel like this person might have, if you have met, which I would say for the majority of you have, they potentially shut you out a little bit early with this. You came closer than anyone. This is kind of giving me the vibe that you kind of got a little bit too close and they had to shut you out as like kind of a defense mechanism because that more Aries energy coming out in them. And I think, yeah, there is, again, a similar energy in terms of them feeling really vulnerable, really sensitive, really kind of like not wanting to know what's going on for you right now because they do feel like it will derail their healing. And there's potentially a lot of insecurity there on their end, fears of you rejecting them, of you leaving them behind, of you growing past them, especially if for the majority of people here, they probably felt like you're maybe a little bit out of their league to begin with. So yeah, there's definitely some genuine worry and concern there. So yeah, again, similar energy to this twin flame energy. They're just really focusing on their own healing, and trying not to kind of worry about what's going on with you too much, because they know that will essentially derail them. Because yeah, they almost like can't trust themselves around you. Potentially around you, they have kind of that more sexual and passionate energy that we spoke about really early on in the reading come up. And yeah, there might be even some healing for them to do around sexual energy. So yeah, I'm sensing there's a little bit of lack of trust with themselves when it comes to how intoxicating you are for them. So these are shadow messages. So if this person feels a little bit more karmic for you, or you're not sure about the future of this connection, if you guys are maybe this connection's in more of like a dark place right now, these messages might be for you. So we have, I wondered how far this would go. I'm sorry. In the moment, I didn't care. And I know I made a mistake. So I'd say that maybe this person wasn't expecting to still care about you this much after the connection ended, if you have been in connection before, which I would say for a lot of you, you have. And yeah, they definitely feel like they made a mistake. They're definitely filled with regret, and yeah, definitely at the time I'm sensing more of that kind of Aries self-centered kind of energy was very active for them. They weren't really balancing out that energy with this more Libra, like kind of caring about you and caring about the connection. Yeah, they definitely made a mistake. And there's definitely some regret there. But finally we'll get messages of love. So this could be more for the people that feels like they haven't met this person yet, or just like maybe you're not really sure where this connection's going yet. So we have integrity. Does this situation align with your values and morals? Intuition, you already know the answers you seek. Longing, someone is secretly yearning for you. Then we've got a lot of messages here. So we've got balance. One person is giving too much in this relationship. Abundance, you've done the work. Abundance flows to you now. Twin flame, this is divine counterpart connection and stability. This relationship can stand the test of time. So yeah, I would say for a lot of people, this will be more of a maybe crush situation with this longing card coming out. If you do feel like you've met this person before, like you may feel this kind of like potential that it's a twin flame energy even early on. And yeah, there's definitely a lot of potential for the two of you with all of these cards coming out. But yeah, there's probably going to be some realignment, so that 10 of Cups energy to do with your own values and morals, and just like truth, honor, like integrity, kind of all those things that we've been talking about. There's definitely going to be some kind of rejigging with all that sort of stuff in this connection still to come. But we'll get some love oracles. Okay, so we've got double snake energy. So this usually refers to boundaries being encroached on. And so this is a lot of that early energy that we were talking about in terms of like trying to balance that Aries and Libra energy of like knowing where you're putting up boundaries, knowing where you're putting up walls, knowing where you're self-abandoning, knowing where you're kind of ignoring your own needs to try and preserve the connection, which is kind of a form of deceit and manipulation. And so these cards usually refer to deceit and manipulation on both sides, because the more empath paradigm is usually more this Libra energy, or the more it's usually more of a traditional feminine energy, like over abandoning themselves as a form of manipulation to try and preserve the connection, which actually for divine counterpart connections actually often pushes the other person away, because it's coming from a place of lack of self-integrity. And with divine counterpart connections, the priority is integrity of like showing up as your authentic self. So this creates a energetic like jarring or misalignment. And then the reverse side is like, say, more of the self-centered or more narcissism side of the story is kind of ignoring the other party and only honoring what feels right within the self, which is a form of like definitely aggression, hurt, and like it definitely can get abusive. So those I would say are more of the extremes of it. Usually we play out maybe a little bit more kind of PG versions of that with people. But yeah, divine counterpart connections definitely intend to break down a lot of those kind of paradigms, usually by one partner volunteering on a spiritual sense to play one part, the other partner volunteering in a spiritual sense to play the other part, and the two of you incarnating in this physical reality to kind of work it all out together to try and find that balance, that little kind of middle ground, like being able to take some of the energy of each other into your own reality to become more balanced within. So we have the butterfly relationship evolving to the next phase, healing inner child growth. So yeah, a lot of these energies come from a wounded inner child place. And so it definitely requires a lot of growth. And we also have wedding ring, so union, wedding, married, connection, eternal love, everlasting promise. And we have another twin flame card, so there's probably a lot of twin flames that chose pile one. So yeah. Yeah, so this is kind of another divine counterpart confirmation. As we were just saying, like divine counterparts like really intentionally choose either side of the story to mirror back to each other, each other's wounding. So the over self-centered person, their wounding is usually not being able to trust others to love them or kind of treat them well. And actually both sides, it's kind of similar. Like underlying problem is the same. It's just kind of two different strategies of dealing with the problem. One person responds to that lack of love from a place of like over prioritizing the self and over disconnecting from other people, whereas the other person basically does the opposite, where they deprioritize themselves and over prioritize the other person. So we have change. So this connection probably will be changing the two of you for the better, bringing you into a more pure or aligned version of yourself for the vast majority of people here. So we have you and your loved ones are safe. What do you need to release? A new romantic cycle begins. Your hard work is paying off. I feel like those are all pretty self-explanatory. We'll just get a final affirmation. So we have two for you. We have, I trust the divine guidance of my inner wisdom. All the answers exist within, which we also did have in another card. So obviously there's some more to this, that there's some inner wisdom that's trying to reveal itself to you that you really need to listen in for. And then we also have, I allow myself to rest and I reap the benefits of my hard work. So there's probably an element of like almost not trying too hard with this that's going to benefit this connection a lot. So leaning into that kind of allowing life to be what it is, like enjoying life, and knowing when to kind of do the work and when to just enjoy your life, because there's actually an element of deep learning in play. I can't remember who said it. I think it's Albert Einstein, but I could be wrong. But the quote is, play is our highest form of research. So really allowing yourself to play a lot of the time can build more growth for you than like trying really hard to kind of learn things intellectually, because the play puts things in the body, whereas the learning intellectually puts things in the mind, and it doesn't necessarily integrate as well into the whole being. But I think I'm going to leave that there. That's like such a big stack of cards and things to take away. I hope you got everything out of this reading that you really wanted and needed. I hope the Mars-Venus conjunction brings you more love, more abundance, especially within the self. And yeah, until I see you again, thank you so much for watching. Ciao. Hey there, part 2. Welcome to your reading. Let's get some channeled messages for you in regards to love, but specifically forbidden love or divine counterpart love. Let's just see what is going to come out for you. So we'll just start with clarifying the energies. So if you would like to skip this part and go straight to the messages, you are welcome to do that. But if you would like to stick around to get a little bit of extra confirmation, that is cool too. Just do what feels right for you. Could we have some more for pile 2? Any other energy clarifications for pile 2, please? Okay, so there's a bit here. So we have Taurus and Aquarius energies as the main signs here, but we also have some Aries, Gemini, Capricorn, Leo, Pisces, and Scorpio and Cancer energy here. So kind of about half the zodiacs, I would say. Definitely leaning more towards air and water / earth signs. Like there's a fair bit of air, water, earth energies. Not a lot of fire signs, to be honest. Like not heaps of fire sign energy, but there's a little sprinkle of it here. So yeah, this could be your person's placement, and it can also be just kind of like little energies of their personality that are maybe created through kind of other means other than their actual placements. Aquarius energy, this is heavy kind of light energy, especially to do with consciousness, humanity, and kind of broader social constructs. It's modernly ruled by Uranus, which is a big honoring your authentic truth energy, finding what really lights you up, figuring out how you can contribute to the world in a very unique way, and also in a way that really honors kind of who you are. Saturn energy or Capricorn energy does this in a more kind of like honorable way, like defending your honor in a way. It's really about finding your covenant, your truth, and pursuing that in this life. Taurus adds a little bit of stubborn energy. This is a energy that really likes kind of the finer things in life, really likes money and aesthetics, and kind of I would say is a little bit more feminine in nature. Taurus is ruled by the Venus sign, and it's kind of the first introduction of femininity into the astrological chart. So it's definitely a very receptive kind of energy. The first house energy, usually this refers to someone who takes really good care of their body, either through exercise and or nutrition. And the third house is usually someone who either likes to write, communicate, channel messages from the divine. Also someone who's usually close with their siblings and or neighbors. The water element introduces some intuition, sensation, romance, sometimes psychic abilities, and almost like a deeply feeling element. The Neptunian energy adds in usually someone who's fairly dreamy. It's kind of like a higher vibration Venus energy, so again, like very charming, attractive, receptive, but I would say there's like an element of more spirituality to it than the Taurus energy necessarily is, and the more kind of traditional Venus energy. Neptunian energy also introduces some illusion though, like maybe they or you are prone to self-sacrificing, self-abandoning, people-pleasing or something like that, due to some conditioning either from your culture, from your family system, or like society as a broader entity. Like there's definitely, usually with this card, some collective consciousness to really look at and examine to understand the self and each other much better and deeper and more authentically. We also have the Grand Trine and the Grand Cross energy. So this is probably a very divine counterpart connection, probably a connection with a lot of mirroring, probably a connection with a lot of potential for like love, romance, abundance, and kind of cooperation and all of that really good stuff. But to achieve that, there's definitely going to be some navigating of real challenge with this Grand Cross provoker, like real mirroring each other, maybe mirroring back to each other some of these more challenging social constructs that can sometimes box us into a difficult corner in a way. Yeah, and often that comes with some rubbing up against wounds, so it definitely feels very challenging, but it's also very intentional in order to bring about a more evolved version of the self. But we'll get some extra descriptors. So take what resonates, leave what doesn't. These are just more your little confirmations. So we have round eyes, intelligent, dark brown eyes, adventurous, alchemist. So yeah, this is this kind of spiritual element, straight hair, long nose, critic, disagreeable. So someone who's more, this is usually more of a protector provider kind of energy, thoughtful, assertive, seductive, advocate. So this is this heavy Aquarian energy, usually advocating for people that can't advocate for themselves for whatever reason. Avenger, so again, a bit more kind of protector provider energy, like usually someone who's interested in defending people's honor and more of a risk taker. So there's a fair few like kind of traditionally masculine energies there for sure. But yeah, take what resonates, leave what doesn't. We'll move on to our tarot for more specific messages about this connection. So this person and or both of you is going through a lot of change right now. We have every 5 of every suit come out. We have the 5 of Swords, 5 of Cups, 5 of Wands, and 5 of Pentacles. So 5s in numerology, in Kabbalah Tarot, always represent severity, destruction, motion, change, chaos, like things really kind of getting reinvented in some way, like kind of reaching some sort of peak given the level that you or they are at, and yeah, kind of needing to destroy some things to make space for better things, essentially. And this is happening probably across the board for especially them, but also you as well, when it comes to kind of sexual energy, inspiration, creativity, love, romance, kind of the physical, kind of lifestyle, manifestations, finances, career, perspectives, like stories, self-awareness, objective analysis. Yeah, there's just like a huge upheaval in these energies. Like big things are changing for sure. It seems like when it comes to like the more Wands energy, so this is to do with conflicts, to do with inspiration, creativity. It's a very entrepreneurial energy, very motivated. Think Aries, Leo, Sag, think Mars, Sun and Jupiter energy. It's all about kind of expansion, self-growth, self-awareness, knowing, creativity, and like kind of charisma, charm, like all of those energies are here. Learning like so much. It seems like all of these energies are being shifted into a place of like essentially more alignment, more kind of calm, more intuition, especially in regards to, let's say, the more conflict kind of energies, the more like especially Aries and Leo energies, which can create conflict with others, which can either overpower other people or be overly self-centered, or like maybe overly aggressive, or kind of overly in the ego and not moving from a place of necessarily honesty or integrity or kind of spirit or vulnerability. Yeah, there's this real like reining in of that energy, like a real maturing of that energy, being able to move from a much more calm place, being able to, especially for masculine energy people, being able to move from a much more integrated feminine energy. A lot of those more challenging aspects of the wand suit really happen when someone's very much in their masculine and very devoid of their feminine, because yeah, they're kind of missing that flow, that calm, that being willing to collaborate with others, being willing to see things from other people's point of view, being willing to create space for others, and kind of knowing when it's their time to shine and when it's time to either lead others or give others space to kind of take the floor. Yeah, there's definitely a big shift into a more integrated way of approaching all those things, especially conflict. I'm sensing like this person's going to be able to enter conflicts in a much more calm way, and probably understanding their own emotional inner world a lot better to understand why they're getting into conflicts, and maybe even being much more willing to admit when they're in a conflict, and where they need to maybe set their ego aside and not necessarily always be right. I'm getting. And then when it comes to, say, the more emotional side of this person, so the person who is deeply emotionally connected, romantic, available, maybe intuitive, psychic, and just like able to embrace the flow of life, it seems like there's definitely going to be a drastic change with this energy. The Judgment card is Pluto energy. It really destroys anything that isn't aligned with love. So potentially in terms of this Five of Cups energy, they were maybe moving through life being afraid of rejection, being afraid of being abandoned, being afraid of losing love once they had it. So they were almost like avoiding those topics, as well as like spirituality as well, because the cups encompasses kind of all facets of love, relationship, romance, as well as intuition, psychic abilities and things like that. Yeah, there was kind of this avoidance of that, and it was coming from definitely a place of fear, and so this Judgment energy refers to kind of like all the walls being broken down between the self and that kind of energy to allow it to flow into their life in a much more meaningful way. Because potentially like all of their fears that were creating all of these walls to block all of that energy out for them, in order to avoid disappointment, was ultimately creating a lot of guilt, regret, or loss. Like potentially they were sabotaging a lot of things, and maybe behaving in ways that they didn't feel like it really reflected who they feel like they are deep within. So yeah, there's definitely this big upheaval with these energies now. This Five of Pentacles energy, this is a it often references either poverty consciousness, sickness when it comes to like the health, body, like physical things, or at least not optimal health, and then also like lifestyle, healing, generational curses, like being able to contribute to the world in a really meaningful way, in a way that honors your own truth, that honors your own unique gifts. And yeah, this is also heavy like manifesting the outcome that you want energy. So I'd say that like a lot of this kind of what was going on for them emotionally, like all these walls were essentially like as a flow-on effect, not creating the things that they really wanted in life. Potentially because they weren't really willing to sit in all of that emotion, which is a big driver of manifestation, because they weren't willing to sit in all the positive emotions, they were like kind of sitting in a lot of negative emotion through default, through like avoidance of being afraid to feel the joy and then lose something, that they ended up like kind of creating this self-fulfilling prophecy, and maybe like manifesting a lot of things from this kind of like fear place. And so yeah, I would say this person's kind of realized that in order to manifest the life that they want, they need to be really intentional about what they're thinking and feeling, and being willing to embrace things like joy, connection, compassion, spirituality, and things like that. So it seems like this connection is going through some sort of renewal with this Eight of Swords and Four of Swords coming out. The Four of Swords is more of like a rest and renewal energy, and the Eight of Swords is more of a isolated energy, like it's a heavy being alone energy. It seems like this person might feel really isolated, really alone, maybe imprisoned by their own self-fulfilling prophecies, but probably a truth that they're not yet comprehending, that this kind of period of deep feeling, of deep change, of deep kind of insight, self-awareness, like all of this stuff that's being revealed to them, like even though it feels very isolating and challenging, kind of what's going on under the surface is this real renewal of the self. Like it's all a it might be challenging now, but it's going to lead to a better future for sure. We have the King of Wands. So this refers to someone who's really stepping into their masculine power, being able to be a real leader, a real visionary, someone who's usually charismatic, charming, and embodying all these Five of Wands energy that we've referred to before, in a much more conscious and aware way. Like they're aware of like all of these maybe shadow sides of this real fire energy, and they're able to like integrate the shadow in a really healthy way, where they can then express the more light version of those energies, like yeah, like essentially adding in this like kind of feminine flavor to this wand suit will essentially bring them to this King of Wands energy, to this real kind of like peak divine masculine wands energy. the King of Wands is heavily associated with Sag energy, like kind of as I was saying before, like this Five of Wands, real challenging ego side of it is more the Aries and Leo energy, because they tend to be a little bit more of the they tend to be more where the shadow sits. Like obviously Sag has shadow as well, but just not as much. Sag really cares about spiritual evolution and expansion. It's ruled by Jupiter and it's much more optimistic, so it tends, because it's ruled by such a benefic, whereas Aries is ruled by a malefic, and the sun's kind of neutral, but it definitely has a very heavy shadow side. Those two energies tend to pull out more of that shadow, which is why the King of Wands is really associated with Sag, because the King of Wands knows where to take risks in life, knows like where its shadow is maybe getting the best of them, and knows how to like make repairs. Like it's just coming from a much more spiritual place, and a much more kind of expanded place, especially in consciousness. But yeah, to do that, you do have to have this very integrated feminine. Like you do have to be able to be calm in the face of chaos, in the face of conflict. You do have to be able to move from a very intuitive place and understand yourself in depth, and yeah, like have this real kind of sixth sense for kind of the right way to approach something. And so yeah, this person coming into their King of Wands era will make them a much better partner. They'll be able to be more intimate, compassionate, open, romantic, intuitive, understanding, emotionally available, and just like connected in general. We also have some Six of Cups energy. This is a Sun in Scorpio energy, and this is really about understanding the past, while also being able to learn from it and then let it go. Like it's a very kind of, it's a card that really asks you, especially to understand your very early conditioning, but just the past in general. So this could be the past of this connection, either in this life or in past lives, or like their previous connections with other partners, like really being able to understand it, understand why they showed up the way that they showed up, and being able to learn from it and integrate the lessons into the body by acting differently in the future. Like there's one thing to be able to like cognitively understand it, and there's a total other thing to be able to integrate it into the body. And so this is this real renewal energy. And this is essentially for this person creating this real Ten of Pentacles, like kind of peak energy when it comes to lifestyle, healing, especially healing kind of generational traumas or curses that have been passed down through familial dynamics and patterns, as well as being able to fulfill their duties of care for their family a lot better. We've had a lot of protector provider energy come out here, so I would say this person is kind of like going down a path of yeah, like just being a much more well-rounded person who's going to be a better pillar for other people to rely on a lot more. And it's also an energy that refers to someone overcoming any negative influences in their life. This could be cultural, societal, or familial. Like they're really going to let go of things that essentially aren't aligned with their greater good. And also probably walk away from a lot of toxicity. This Five of Swords energy, this is a Venus in Aquarius energy, and a lot of the time it asks us to heal by cutting our losses and moving on. Because Aquarius is ruled by Uranus energy, it's a very powerful but very explosive energy. It can be considered kind of like a higher vibration Mercury energy, so it's someone who really deeply understands the situation, makes powerful moves. A lot of the time it's making very quick and unexpected moves, but moves that are definitely aligned with your inner genius, your truth, and also like a very are moves made with a lot of humility, like, and humanity, both of those beautiful H words. And yeah, really walking away from toxicity. But this is because it's moves made from humility and humanity. It's like not doing it from a place of ego, but kind of like, F this person, like, I'm moving on kind of thing. It's really about being able to love someone or something and be able to let it go, or like being able to appreciate the influence that certain cultural, societal, or familial practices had in their life, and be able to retain the parts of that that's really joyful and positive, and let go of the things that are negative, essentially. But we'll get some channeled messages from this person, who I'm assuming for the most of you you've met before. We're gonna get channeled messages from 4 piles. So you can, if your like intuition is telling you that your messages are in a certain pile, you can totally honor that. We will be getting messages from all these piles. I would say in general, these messages tend to be a little bit more twin flamey. These messages tend to be a little more soulmatey. These messages tend to be kind of a mix, but are especially good if you're not 100% certain if you've A, met this person, or B, what the future of this connection might be, like especially if it's early days. This energy, this pile as well, is like good for connections, especially connections that you've been in before. It can be connections that you're not entirely sure what the future will be, especially if you're in, say, more of a darker place with the connection, or you feel like your person's in more of a darker place. This pile tends to be good. It can be kind of like all kinds of connections though. So I would say twin flame, soulmate, maybe unsure, and if the connection's in, say, more of a dark place. But we'll pull messages from each of them. And you're welcome to just take what resonates, leave what doesn't from all 4 piles, and or focus on one pile's messages. So we might start with this one. So we have, I want you back. I still feel the pain. I know you don't feel the same, and I'm not over you. So yeah, because of all this 5 energy, all this change, chaos, upheaval, I would say for most people here that have been drawn to this pile, that they are in this period of deep kind of change, spiritual upgrading. So yeah, regardless of what kind of connection it is, there's probably going to be, because you're amidst all the chaos, there is going to be a little bit of confusion. There's going to be maybe a little bit of uncertainty, insecurity, doubts, fears coming up. And that's all part of this 5 energy, this real kind of change, destruction, motion, change, like chaos kind of energy. So yeah, there's probably going to be some extra shadowy kind of messages come out today for you guys, because you guys are in this real upheaval, kind of upgrading kind of time. So we have, you don't know how hard it was to let you go. I bury myself in work to forget you. My life is not as together as it seems, and I wish things could be different. So this is the more shadowy messages. says about you. Leaving you hurt me too. I know we have a soul connection, but I pretend you don't mean much. So we have retreat, time alone in nature will help you recharge. True love. This love is emotional, physical, and unconditional. Vulnerability, you can be completely open with this person. Here and now, your true love is already a part of your life. And rejection, this rejection is actually divine protection. So next we will get some love oracles. So we have heart with a key, welcoming love, meeting the one, opening your heart, getting together, perfect. Passion, insane chemistry, liking each other equally, having fun. Girl talk, so this is about moving on, spending time with friends, living in the moment, being happily single. And then we have a few that spilled out then. So we have mirror, mirroring each other, self-image, relationship, reflection on our wounds, introspection, palm tree, stability, security, permanence, growth, endurance, flexibility, kisses, unconditional love, giving and receiving love, falling in love, having faith, love is coming, meeting the one, or hesitation. So yeah, it seems like there's a lot of more brightness in the future, but yeah, you're probably in this deep kind of mirroring, shadow, uncertainty kind of period right now. So for more oracles, we have acceptance, really accepting what is, and working with the here and now will be really, really helpful. We have self-love and beauty. So this is probably a good time to find more love within and find more beauty in life around you as it is without trying to change it. So yeah, we have another time for healing card. The answers you need are coming. Step out of your comfort zone. Luck is on your side. And then finally, we have some affirmations. Just gonna take these two. So we have, I am filled with creative energy and I am ready to manifest. And I attract good luck and I'm open to receiving miracles. I feel like those ones are pretty self-explanatory, but I think I'm gonna leave that here. That's quite a pile. I wish you could feel like how big this pile of cards are. That's a lot of messages to kind of take away for now. So I'm gonna leave that here. I hope you got everything out of this reading that really wanted and needed. It's been a pleasure reading for you. And I hope this Mars-Venus conjunction brings you closer to love, passion, and compassion, especially for yourself. But yeah, until I see you again, ciao. Hey there, pile 3, welcome to your reading. So if you chose this beautiful moonstone, then this reading is probably for you. But we're going to start by clarifying the energies. If you're not 100% certain you're in the right place, you can stick around for that, or if you just want that extra kind of confirmation, we will first do an energy clarification. So if you're resonating with most of the clarification energies, you're probably in the right place. If you're resonating with about half, it might mean that your reading is a combination of maybe 2 piles. And if you're not resonating with the energies at all, it might be a good idea to go back and pick another pile. for your messages today. Whoop, that was a lot that wanted to come out then. I will flip this just because I feel like it was intentional, but we will come back to it. Okay, so here we have a fair bit of Aries, Pisces energy, as well as some Sagittarius, Cancer, Scorpio, Aries, and Leo energy. They're the main signs that are here. So this can be any placements or just like facets of their personality that reflect one of the signs. So they might be fairly passionate, motivated, maybe entrepreneurial, a really good leader, and they may be potentially into spirituality and or travel and or higher education, just expansion of kind of any kind, but especially expansion that aids their own personal development. They may have a bit of a either maternal side or family orientated side, or yeah, just have like a very deep feeling, energy, maybe a connection to their like roots, their family of origin, culture, ethnicity, something like that. There's some sort of like connection to where I came from kind of energy for them. They're probably also maybe into a little bit of either occult stuff, maybe they are really into like maybe relationship kind of literature and getting to know how to be in deeper and more intimate bonds with people. They might like to explore their sexuality in deeper and more intimate ways and or more fun surface level kind of pleasure kind of ways. They may be fairly creative. They may want to have children someday, or they may already have them. They may have a very kind of like childlike spontaneity kind of side to them, with this kind of Leo-ish energy, and this may indicate a little bit of high sex drive energy, this Mars and Pluto energy, and or like really into gym, fitness, or just like taking care of their body. They might do that through nutrition or something else instead. We also have the lunar eclipse energy. So this usually refers to a period of deep change, usually where things are crumbling, more so than being built up, especially with this Pluto energy coming out. It seems like some things are kind of falling apart, but definitely things that aren't in alignment for you guys, or for them, so that they can kind of realign, rejig things, and move forward towards their blessings. This person, if they resonate more with the divine feminine, might have a black moon Lilith energy about them, or if they're more of a divine masculine, there may be parts of their masculinity that they're really challenging right now, especially toxic parts of their masculinity. Black Moon Lilith, she's a divine feminine, but she's very dark, and she is more associated with the inner masculine than the inner feminine. So she's a divine feminine in, like, that's her energy, but very connected to divine masculine, so very cognitive, very powerful, doesn't usually have a lot of the same hang-ups that kind of feminine energies more traditionally have. Like, she's able to stand in her power a lot better. She's able to compete with men a lot more in a lot of their facets. So yeah, she's a very interesting energy to come out. So this can usually happen in two ways. Like, either this person's challenging their own inner masculine, their own, especially the toxic side of their masculinity, because Black Moon Lilith really likes to destroy things that aren't masculine in their highest form. And or if this person is more of a feminine energy, they might be stepping into their more dark feminine power at this time. But we'll get some more energy clarifications. So yeah, take what resonates, leave what doesn't. If you're resonating with at least half, you know you're in the right place. That was a lot more than I thought we were going to get. So we have goal-orientated, a bit rebellious. Their eyes may be quite round, or rounding compared to yours. Career, that's supposed to say orientated or oriented, whatever expression you prefer. Technically, they're both correct. Blue eyes. They may have a dreamer or dreamy element to them. Might have a quiet side. Might enjoy their own solitude at times. Critic. Might be quite critical. Passive. Maybe more of a go with the flow, at least at this time. Broad nose. Dark blonde hair. Or red hair. May have some teacher kind of energy, or just like some willingness to share what they know. Fun, so this is this 5th house energy. Really tall. Charming. Fair skin. Successful. Fashionable. Okay, now we will get our tarot messages. So this person, if you've connected with them in the past, may have been acting from some conditioning or patterns, especially familial ones, which may have caused this connection to maybe not go the way that it was kind of going, or at least not head to the kind of peak or light that it was going to. And if you haven't met this person before, then I would say that in past connections, they've been playing out a lot of these kind of patterns. And recently, regardless of whether you've met this person or not, they've kind of been realizing what those patterns are. They've been really understanding the past in a much deeper way, and really trying to heal and let go of those patterns that are destructive, and embrace more healthy and constructive ways of dealing with any of those problems, so that they can really enjoy their life in the now a lot more. It seems like in the past, maybe they were disconnected from either abundance, happiness, alignment, maybe their kind of deep feeling energy in some way because of some conditioning that they received. But yeah, they've really started to wake up to that and really started to rejig their life, and create some change to be in better alignment with their true self. So it seems like this person's definitely had a lot of success in their life, maybe been able to come into quite a lot of money, or just like a really good lifestyle, or something like that. But I'm sensing that it has strings attached to it, like the kind of way that they've particularly gone about some things. And maybe it was coming from a place of like maybe kind of poverty consciousness, or just like fears around money and lifestyle and things like that, or like kind of adhering to what they were supposed to do and maybe not so much honoring what they really wanted to do. So they were kind of ignoring some of this inner feminine guidance within themselves that knows how to go with the flow, especially honor the self. And usually the Queen of Cups also makes moves when things are very calm, when the waters are not muddied by too much activity, when everything's kind of calm and clear and easy to discern. And the intuition is clear, like there's no kind of anxiety that may mislead them. So yeah, it seems like this person's kind of realizing that they might need to change their approach to some of this Seven of Pentacles energy to come from a more authentic place, and to honor themselves a lot more in terms of their either career or lifestyle or something like that. They need to create a little bit, something that's just needs to be rejigged to suit them a lot better, and to let go of a lot of the shoulds that they might have taken a little bit too seriously in their life. But they're definitely coming to a more secure and stable place within themselves if they are the divine masculine, which I'm sensing for most people they probably are. But yeah, regardless, they're kind of like really embracing the inner masculine. So even if they are more of the divine feminine, there's this kind of embracing of the inner masculine, like being able to trust yourself as this kind of secure, stable position of like knowing kind of who you are, what you want, and also being self-aware of both your light and your shadow, and trusting that even in the uncertainty and chaos of life that you can trust yourself. So this is the real energy that they're embodying. They're definitely like maturing, probably through a lot of personal development, personal growth. There's definitely a deep maturing from this connection. It does seem like for a fair few of you, you've been in this connection before and you're in this period of separation. Or if you haven't met this person in this separation, this person's very clear on what they want, and definitely what they want, if they haven't met you, is a very maternal kind of energy, someone who's very nurturing, kind, and very much kind of Eve or Empress kind of energy. If you guys have met and you are in separation, this person knows who you are. They're probably seeing you in a new light where they're really respecting those qualities within you, all of that Eve, Empress kind of mothering kind of energy within you. They're really seeing a lot of potential, especially for creating a family together with you, now that they've kind of matured. There is this theory in psychology that while a man let's say divine masculine, while a divine masculine is still in his kind of like boyhood mentality, like he can't fathom being a father or being like a paternal figure regardless of gender, until he steps or they step into their mature kind of energy. So there's always this kind of like avoidance of becoming a paternal energy until they themselves step into their most mature version of their own masculine energy. And it seems like that's definitely happening for this person, so they're able to see that future much more clearly now. But we might get some channeled messages. For our channeled messages, we have 4 piles. So if you're intuitively being called to one pile in particular, you can take those messages a little bit more seriously. But I'm going to pull from every pile, so take what resonates, leave what doesn't. These messages tend to be a little bit more twin flamey, these ones a little bit more soulmatey, and these ones are both good for more uncertain situations. These ones in particular are really good if the people within the connection are in a bit of a dark place, and there's just like more shadow coming to light at the present moment. So if one of those intuitively sounds like you need to hear that, then stay tuned for those messages. But we will pull from all piles, so take what resonates, leave what doesn't. So we have a hide behind material things, and it's just so funny that that literally came up on top of the 7 of Pentacles card after we're just talking about how they needed to go about this money and success thing much more authentically. You are the best thing in my life. Just being near you is intoxicating. And I wish things could be different. I am recovering. I can't reach out. I feel the sexual tension and I don't know why this happened. So next we have the Messages of Love Oracle. Intuition, you already know the answers you seek. Vulnerability, you can be open with this person. Trust, it is safe to trust this situation. Release, radical acceptance and surrender can help you to let go. And regret, someone feels remorse about the way that they treated you. And finally we have the In the Shadows Oracle cards. So we have, I pretend that you don't mean much. I'm sorry. I focused on you instead of my pain. Whoop. I couldn't tell you face to face. So yeah, take what resonates, leave what doesn't. If anything's immediately coming to mind as I read any of those cards, like really trust in that intuition. So the first love oracle that we have is meeting and conversing, feeling uplifted, friendship, savoring the moment. Karmic relationship, fleeting, triggers, turmoil, resentment, lessons, letting go, and loving you. heartbroken. So we have deeply hurt, sad, separation, breakup, feeling lost, mourning and grieving. And then we also have wedding rings, union, wedding, married, soul connection, eternal love, everlasting promise. So yeah, out of those, take what resonates, leave what doesn't. I would say for a lot of people in separation, it's definitely there's probably a lot of things being triggered, a lot of sadness, separation, and hurt. But probably whatever's going on, if you guys are in a separation, it's supposed to be teaching you things with this lesson energy coming out. And regardless of what you want, whether you want to like restart this connection, have this wedding rings energy, like whatever it is that you want, probably like figuring out what the lessons from the heartbreak and whatever the karma is and the triggers are, that will help you be free to eventually make that choice. Like it's a little bit challenging to manifest one reality or the other when the lessons from a particular connection are like unfinished. So we have power. So it's likely that the two of you are stepping into more of your own power at this time. And with this karmic energy, like all connections will have an element of karma in them. But like, it's kind of like what you do with that energy that kind of determines, what was I going to say? It was in my head and then I lost it. But yeah, whatever intuitively you know this connection is, trust that, but know that the cards are telling you that there's an element of karma within the connection right now that needs to be dealt with. So we also have discernment, peace, patience, trust, and the void. Okay, so there's probably a lot of darkness in this connection right now, and a lot of lessons that need to be learned from whatever the darkness is teaching you. There's definitely a need for like a lot of trust in the process, and like seeking out your own peace, your own power, your own kind of boundaries and ability to discern kind of what's best for you. We have all the answers you need are coming. Have faith in your dreams. And believe in the impossible. So yeah, I'd say there's a fair bit of uncertainty at the moment. Well, there's a lot changing in this connection. But yeah, there's definitely been a lot of trust kind of cards come out. Could we have any final affirmations, please? So I have, I trust the divine guidance of my inner wisdom. All the answers exist within. So I hope that helped. Or I hope it entertained you at the very least. Thanks so much for watching all the way through. I really appreciate it. I would love if you could like, comment, and subscribe. And I will see you again for another intuitive tarot card reading very soon. But I hope this Mars-Venus conjunction brings you a lot of love, compassion, especially for yourself, but also for and with others. Ciao.